Hello. We're about to start in a minute. This is Clif Chats, and this is a mostly live interview show that I've been doing for the last almost 2 years, the start of the pandemic. Done over 70 of these, and it's just been a way to connect with other people, artists, people living creatively, doing creative things, working in the arts, people at all different levels. Today, I have 3 wonderful Nashville songwriters. Um, and one thing I think is really interesting, and maybe we'll end up talking about this, is each one is turning them up a little bit. Each one. So I have Angela Autumn, Layla Frankel, and Meg Williams here. They each have very different styles. And kind of last minute, I sent them a groove to I was like, if they have time, I asked them to record. There wasn't enough time, and so we could hear each style with the same groove. But maybe we'll do that in another time. So anyway, I'm going to bring them on one by one. Okay, so here comes Angela, Meg, and Layla. We're on.
Hey.
Hey. It's good. Have you all met before? None of you have.
I don't think so.
Okay, cool. And I'm just trying to move this thing out of the way. This is Restream, and it's a kind of new platform for me. I was using it a few years ago. Well, welcome. I just introduced you all. I think we're all in Nashville right now. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So maybe the next time we do this, we'll do it in person.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's something I'm still. I was just saying to Layla that it's a whole, I'm used to doing it this way, and so it's a whole nother thing with cameras, doing it live, making sure you have a good upload speed and all that stuff. Well, welcome to Clif Chats. I know all of you from. Let's see. I know Meg. I think the Blues Jam. Is that right? Probably like 4 years ago, something like that.
Yeah.
And Layla, I think we played at the Blues Jam as well, but I think then also we met at a
house concert.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And Angela, we met at a coffee shop. And Angela, I think you might be coming in and out your connection. Yes. Where'd you get it from? Where's the coffee from? I don't know that one.
Elegy.
Well, Elegy, yeah, I'm not familiar with that place. It's good coffee.
It's really good.
Nice. Well, I'd like to just start with just some of your backgrounds, like where you're from, and I'll just for ease of knowing who to go, I'll say your name. If you want to say where you're from and how you got into music, if there was an age where you became serious about music, that sort of thing. So Layla, you want to start?
Yeah, so I'm from Chicago. Been in Nashville about 4.5 years now, but I got started with music from a very young age. My dad is actually a children's singer-songwriter and performer, so I grew up on stage performing with him since I was like 4 years old and singing with him, and then moved on to like singing choirs and musical theater, and so I've just always gravitated towards the stage, and then been actively songwriting since I was like 18. So a while, yeah.
Nice. Angela, how about you? Did you have a lag of some sort there?
From a super young age? Oh, I have a lag.
Yeah, a little bit. It's fine.
Whoops. Lag.
No problem.
So, yeah. So I
go ahead.
And connection to folk music acoustic music, which is the era that my parents both grew up in. From a very young age, pulled to old records. Although neither of my parents are musicians, I ended up for a guitar when I was around 9. I started performing in my early teens and just fell in love with it, and maybe scene or so. And yeah, and that journey brought me to Nashville. So journey, and I love folk music and acoustic stuff and gospel even, and it's been a huge influence. So.
Thanks, Meg. How about you?
Yeah, well, I grew up in a small town in Western New York, kind of south of Rochester area, and I've always loved art and music since I was little. My parents would tell me I'd be 2 years old running around, dancing around the living room to the Grateful Dead and Barney. So I've just always
combo.
What a mixtape.
It's a combination, yeah.
Right. Yeah. Neither of my parents are musicians, but they both they love music. So I was always exposed to so much music, especially classic rock and stuff like that. Started playing guitar when I was about 8 or 9 years old, and started songwriting in my teens. Started off kind of not terribly serious, and then grew more. I realized how much I loved doing that, and probably in college, and then definitely my move to Nashville was when I really became serious, and I was like, this is what I want to do for a living. So
Once you came to Nashville, or not before though?
Well, before, I knew I always wanted to do it, but I mean, you know, once I was here, it was like, you know, this is exactly what I'm going for. But when I was in Rochester, I was still in college and getting my degree and also performing. So I always knew that was what I was going to do. But once I moved here, you know, that was really taking the dive for it. But
yeah. Well, have you considered doing a Barney Grateful Dead mashup of some sort?
I think that would be amazing.
So plant that seed now, you know. So it sounds like all of you at a pretty young age, and probably, I mean, do any of you feel like it sounds like you were all started early? Like for me, I'm sort of a latecomer. Like I started playing drums at 13, but I didn't really get serious until college. Was it kind of? It sounds like. Did any of you feel like you were kind of late to the game, or did you kind of feel like, okay, I'm in a good place right now to start, or good time to start? Yeah, I know, Layla. I know you didn't with your dad being a musician, and
yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like I almost had the opposite problem, where it's like it's been such a huge part of my life forever that I like haven't thought about doing anything else, and it's almost like you reach a point where you're grinding, and you're like, why haven't I thought about doing anything else? And you like try to veer paths, but it's just like when it's this ingrained in this, I don't know, the passion has been there for so long. I like really can't imagine doing anything else. So, not that I haven't thought about it, but it's hard. It's hard to veer off course once it's so ingrained.
I relate to that. Just the why didn't I consider anything else? No real backup plan, or or whatever. But well, did any of you have a backup plan, or not necessarily a plan, but like other interests? Like, okay, this is something. If it doesn't work out, I saw Meg say that now.
This is it. Kind of like Layla was saying, I can't imagine doing anything else.
So
I love it so much. This is it. Kind of like Layla was.
Sorry about that. Angela, did you have a backup plan, or do you have any other aspirations?
Me? Is it still lagging? Yeah.
I can hear you. Yeah.
So I studied English. I studied English writing for a really long time, and I almost went to grad school to become like a professor. But I took my shot. I shot, you know, you gotta shoot your stick. I'm glad I in the end. Academia is not really.
Yeah, I hear that as well. I kept thinking I want to go back to school and get my master's in music. And, you know, yeah. Anyway, I definitely hear that. So Nashville was Nashville the natural draw for you all, or were there other places you were considering?
I mean, New York and LA always kind of come into the mix when you're thinking about moving to a city or a place with a massive music scene. But I think coming from Chicago, it's relatively close to home. You know, it's like an 8-hour drive, very short flight. So that's been nice. I think, yeah, it just felt like kind of the best option of all of them. Also, just like at the time, now Nashville is becoming very expensive, but at the time it was more affordable. And so, yeah, and I think that also the reason why for me Nashville over, you know, New York or LA is just like, I don't know if you guys can speak to this too, but I felt that it's a very inclusive and collaborative almost music scene, and like there's not really this feeling of competition, and I've just really appreciated that about this particular scene. So that was part of the appeal for me.
100%. I mean, that's exactly, I feel like that encapsulates Nashville to why, one of the big reasons why it's so special for a musician. You know, I moved from Portland, Oregon to here, and you know, Portland has a lot of qualities of a city I really like, but just that collaborative, that and the mentality of what is the expression, all high tide raises all boats or all ships. That just does it for me for Nashville. Yeah, even with, you know, there's lots of things where it's not a perfect city in any way. So how do you all approach collaboration? Like, what does that look like for each of you? And feel free to jump in. And I am listening to you all. I'm trying to. So with Restream, for some reason, it didn't go to my main page. I don't know what happened, so I'm just trying to share it to that page. But I am listening to you all.
Yeah. I mean, you're familiar with the blues jams and everything. Like, I guess when I first got to town, that's how I've met so many people, is I guess different collaborations with artists here in town, just going right into those jams. That's how you meet so many people, and people that you wind up doing shows with, or they become your friends, or you wind up writing songs with them. So yeah, the jams and the writers rounds is really, I feel like, how I got my start here. But yeah, as for collaborations, now that I've been here about 5.5 years, I do a lot of writing on my own, but I also do some songwriting, co-writes with others. I have a few people that I personally need to feel very like connected and comfortable with a person or a friend or a songwriter to co-write. So I have some collaborations with songwriting, and for performing, I do a lot of collaborations that way. I have my own thing, but I also love performing with many other people, whether we're coming together as a duo or a trio, or I'm playing guitar for them. So like to do a mix of it.
Yeah. What about you, Angela?
That's super cool that you play guitar.
How do you approach collaboration?
Thank you.
Collaboration?
Yeah. And what's that look like here for you?
What it looks like here for me, well, it's very similar to what Meg kind of outlined. And I jams, found other musicians who kind of play on my stuff, honestly. Like, I needed and I just found the cream of the crop. It's a huge blessing. And I am working with one about all I can handle at a time when it comes to collaborations, because I feel like everyone's energy can just be like a lot for me. So I'm working with one other songwriter named Noah Fowler, and usually I send him a song, kind of mark it up for me, and so that's the most effective form of co-writing, that is just having a friend to edit, and someone with like a similar mission, a similar style and journey. Really
what does it mean that he'll mark it up?
Literally, like, edit the document, crossing out.
So like the word, you got the words.
Seem cliche.
Uh-huh.
More creative than I could have imagined. That point of creation, but foundation, then building on the lyrics, essentially.
Yeah. So you start with you do the lyrics, and then or do you do all the chord melodic part, chordal and melodic part of it?
Mainly. Right. The composition, I guess.
Yeah. The arrangement, all that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Layla, what about you? What's your collaborative? What's that look like for you?
I feel like it's been all over the map. I mean, I think I do a lot of co-writes in town with a lot of different people, and when I come at it, oftentimes when I'm coming at co-writes, I'm coming at it from a place of just like, let's just explore creativity and see what we come up with. A lot of times when I'm co-writing, it's really more of an exercise, and I don't always expect to walk away with a song that I would want to perform. And that's the other piece of it too, that I think is a good thing, is that like I'll come into co-writes just wanting to create a song, and maybe it's for my voice, and maybe it's for the other writer's voice, or maybe it's for just the sake of writing a song. But I think that like that practice has been really good for me as far as exploring different places that a song can go, and just getting more comfortable writing outside of my own style. So yeah, it's really just been a growth opportunity, but I've enjoyed that part of Nashville, of the Nashville scene, and just like how, I don't know, people embrace co-writes here, and I think it's bold and also really cool. So that's been fun for me.
Nice. When it sounds like there has to be a certain amount of openness when you're co-writing with somebody. And it also sounds like for Meg and also for you, Autumn, you found someone where you work well with them, or you find kind of people where there's a good working, maybe friendship and working sort of situation. And then Layla, it sounds like you've been doing what a lot of people do, especially I think, not necessarily when they first come here, but where they write with lots of different people, and you probably start to find people that you work, it just seems easier to work with certain people maybe.
Right. Well, and I agree with that. I think that like, it's likened to dating so much of the time, where it's like some people you have chemistry with and some people you don't. And I've certainly found people that I click well with, and then you have multiple co-writes with the same person. But I also, I think it's worth trying to work through those awkward dates too, just to like have that experience as well, and then when it's good, right? So
yeah, and also, I mean, I'm sure through that process you learn a ton about writing, about working with other people, and about yourself, I would think.
And communicating, and about your songwriting style. Like I find that there's almost a head in the mix that's really more of the creative mastermind, and the other person who's kind of like the editor. And depending on who I'm with, I'll play different roles. And I find that I tend towards being the editor, especially lyrically, or like somebody puts out an idea and I'll be like, why don't we make the melody this way instead? But working with people who are also editors has been good for me, in that it challenges me to be more of the creative initiator, I guess you'll say too. So I think it's good to play both roles.
Do you does anyone have like a process, or is it different all the time? Like some people, maybe a lot of people who write, they tell me, you know, like I don't limit myself to always, you know, doing the chords first or the melody first or the words first, but I'm just wondering if you found that there's certain process that you are gravitate towards or that works well for you typically.
I feel like it's different all the time. Yeah.
You never know where it'll come from exactly.
Right. Like sometimes going off of what Layla was saying, you know, I'll have a song, but I feel like it's not quite there or quite right. And then I'll, you know, take it to someone like for the edits. Maybe the melody needed to be changed or a few lines just weren't quite working. So basically presenting with a almost finished product. And then sometimes I might just have like a line and a melody. And then, you know, it's just, and then sometimes, you know, I'll just have a bunch flow out of me every few months. And, you know, I just feel like it's kind of random for me. Just however it presents itself, I just kind of act on it.
Well, it seems like you're playing all the time, Meg. Do you what's the mix of covers to your originals? How?
I mean, it depends on like where I'm playing, and obviously when I'm playing downtown on Broadway, that's pretty much entirely covers, which is fine and fun, and that expands you know, a lot of my skills and in that manner. But you know, when I'm playing with my own band or on tour, I'll do primarily my own music. So yeah, so really, I mean, it just depends on where I'm playing and what the crowd's expecting to see. And
yeah. What and so when you're on Broadway, and for anyone who's tuning in who's not familiar with Broadway is where all the most of the honky tonks in Nashville are. There are, I don't know, 50 stages or so down there. People playing from 10 a.m. till 2 a.m. With 4-hour shifts. What do you mean? Are you playing country tunes when you're down there? Or are you playing more rock and blues, or what are you doing?
Yeah. I mean, I do a mix like of just in general popular music. I tend to play with my duo partner is much more country than I am. So she'll cover a majority of the country tunes. I have, you know, some country tunes, but I do a lot more of like the classic rock tunes. So, but you know, all things that people enjoy hearing. So yeah, a lot more, some country, but a lot of classic rock.
And so for all of you, when you cover someone else's music, like how does that? What are some different ways that informs your own writing? And like, because I mean, in the process of I feel like learning another song is a great learning process too. Are there any songs you could think of that really you could say, okay, this really got me to a different place in my songwriting? You there?
Yeah.
There you go.
We listen to this music that inspires us. We take it in, and then quality is what we listen to and what we're exposed to, and it just builds and builds and builds. It becomes like yourself, and then what you're delivering to the audience is just everything. But I feel like listening to the audience is like, what is your audience like? Do they like, what are some artists that they like? Do they like Gillian Welch? Do they like Lynn Skinner? Do they like Erica? And then you kind of learn about yourself, and it's just like a constant feedback loop of everything that you've listened to, and then what and like that I mountain music just because our audience is, and that goes for my originals, and it goes for everything that I cover ever and ever. So yeah, participation, the biggest qualifier of what we do, I think.
And so, and I'm just curious, Layla, I'd like to hear what you have to say too, but also I'm just wondering how the audience influences you all. You know, sometimes are there times where you say, no, forget the audience. This is what I want to do. I mean, I know there's different approaches, but Layla, if you would talk about your I lost my train of thought. What we were just talking about.
Yeah, we were talking about covers, and then we're talking about audiences.
Thank you.
I have thoughts. Well, so I totally agree with what Meg said and what Angela said, where it's just like, you know, we learn how to make music from the music we've listened to. And I think for me, like, I also studied jazz in college. And so, like, that is a major part of learning jazz, is like mimicking all of the different jazz for me vocalists, and sort of stealing their melodic ideas. And then, like, you'll take another jazz standard and you'll basically like apply, you know, those ideas, those melodic interpretations from various people, and then it becomes your own style. And so, yeah, I mean, it's cheating for sure, but that's how you find your own voice, is you have to take it from other people. But I think in terms of covers, for me, as a performer now, I love doing covers, but interpreting them differently. So I almost never will do a cover exactly the same way that it was, and I'll usually change up either the groove or some aspects of the, you know, the chordal background and harmonic changes, just to make it more interesting for me almost. Yeah. I feel like I am honestly not always great at listening to my audience, because I'm just like, I'm an artist, I'm gonna play what I want to play, and so oftentimes that means I have to like take a step back and be like, okay, maybe I have to throw a pop song into the mix sometimes, just to like people happy.
Yeah. Well, there's something to be said for being true to yourself, and then there's something to be said for also listening and you know, like being true to yourself and having help, you know, finding your audience, or your audience finding you, however you want to look at it. And then there's also something to be said for listening to your audience.
I think it's a balance.
Yeah, for sure. Since I'm a drummer, let's talk about drummers a little bit. And I know, you know, like probably there's a lot of times where you're not playing with a drummer, but when you are playing with a drummer, what are some things you look for in a drummer?
I love playing with drummers. I would prefer it all the time if I could. But I look for just creativity, and then being able to like pick, because usually when I send a band a track, it's a very stripped down acoustic guitar and vocal track. So I'm looking for drummers that are able to like intuitively pick up what the feel should be, and then it's all about intuition. I'm just looking for like creative, intuitive people who are coming up with interesting groove ideas that I wouldn't be able to necessarily articulate, but they intuitively know.
Meg, what about you? What do you look for in drummers?
I love all that, and I also love when they can just go with the flow, because I constantly love to add in new songs, whether it's originals or covers. So I like, you know, just with playing so much, I kind of get like bored of doing the same song. So, you know, I like having somebody that's like, all right, here we go, you know, and
they can just pick up on what you're doing, get the feel like that.
Just on the spot, you know, that they're just, you know, confident and solid, and can just like roll with basically, you know, roll with the changes, just roll with it. So
Angela, about you? Angela, what do you look for in drummers?
I like a drummer that doesn't, I love a drummer who does not pigeonhole my music into what they think it is or what they hear, or to like, I just love to be this force that presents a space where drummers can, and then I get to learn as well in my songs, just by that collaboration. Drummers are so favorite, and it's really hard to find the right drummer.
It's like kind of like a very personal choice, sort of like and it's sort of like Layla saying, the songwriting process, how that's sort of like dating. It's kind of probably the same in finding musicians, not just drummers, that you really like to work with. Just after time, like, okay, I like to be around them. I like how they play, which are two, people all the time. I remember when I first moved here, just hearing the hang all the time. People talking about the hang. So I think I was saying at the beginning, I sent you all this groove and I didn't give you enough time, but maybe we can do a follow up if you do have time to record something over the groove, and then we can. The idea with that was to show how one groove could be interpreted so differently, or music, what the melodic, harmonic, lyrical content could be so different.
I love that idea. I would love to do it. Maybe we can just like, not necessarily, it doesn't have to be like a full-on Clif chat, so we can just send you our songs and you can be like, here's the
I'd love to. Yeah, and I know it's asking a lot. I mean, I know we're all balancing a lot, but if you have time, I would love to hear what that sounds like. And it was Layla was saying it reminded her of David Byrne, kind of because the percussive aspect. So, but I don't want to pigeonhole you all into genres or styles, but I do think each of you has a very different style. And so also I'm kind of, the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this could be the beginning of a group too. You three, I'm talking about you three playing together. Honestly,
cool.
Yeah, or at the very least, this is a town of writers rounds. Like, we could do a writers round.
Yeah.
Trade songs. That's always fun.
Yeah.
Cliff, I think you froze. Maybe you're just frozen on my end.
I'm frozen. Hold on a second.
Yeah, you're frozen over here too. Oh.
I'm still frozen. Okay.
Oh no.
All right. I'm gonna try to unfreeze, but I can hear it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
And you froze for a second. Okay. Hold on a second.
Meg, I'm curious to hear. I'm just going to take the conversation. I'm curious to hear more about like Broadway for you, because I feel like in moving to this town as a singer and a songwriter, that's always been like, oh, I don't want to go there. And I'm coming at it with so much negativity, and I just feel like that must just be colored the wrong way. And I would love to hear about your experience there.
Yeah, well, I think you just have to approach it in a way that's like, just coming at it like, okay, on these days of the week when I'm not, on tour or doing my own thing, I still get to play music, and I get to play, I get to learn new covers, I get to meet new fans, I get to meet people. And so I guess like you do, I love making songs my own, like taking my own style and putting it into these songs that I love, and just learning and bringing new songs to two new audiences. And so I guess if you kind of think about it in the way that's like, I get to go play music, and maybe not necessarily my own music here, but these people, they might like what they're hearing, and then follow up and look you up online, and then go see your band play or listen to your music online. So that's how I try to approach
Have you
it.
seen that? Have you seen the follow-ups like that? Like, you've gained fans from playing on Broadway, and you've seen it translate into dedicated fans?
It's hard to say. Well, some definitely. I regularly play down on Printer's Alley at Bourbon Street, and definitely I've got a lot of like solid followers and fans from that show, especially. Down on Broadway, I do always get some new followers, and people that want to come up and ask if we ever make it to such and such area, or so I feel like there's benefits, a lot of benefits to that. Yeah,
that's encouraging to hear.
Yeah, I personally really enjoy it.
I'm talking to you from this dark screen. You can hear me there, right?
Yeah,
we can hear you. Yeah, I sidetracked the conversation to kill time.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So I've been doing this stuff, and there's always the possibility of technical issues, but usually it's been perfectly fine. But anyway, so I'm having technical issues with my camera. But anyway, so I will probably get off for a minute, ask a question, get off, and try to work on it. But yeah, I like Layla. You did that was nice. You kept it flowing. Angela, Layla's just asking Meg about Broadway and how she, because I feel that way too, Layla, about Broadway. Like I don't really. There is country music that I love. It's more of the classic sort of country, and I'm not like super familiar with the genre, but I'm not motivated to learn a bunch of country tunes, especially the more modern pop ones. Though not, I probably would enjoy it if I had a reason to, but without, it's kind of the chicken or the egg. Like without a gig, like I'm not going to learn those unless I have a gig where I need to learn them. And so. Yeah. So Meg, I think you're the only one who plays down there. I'm not sure, Angela, maybe you play down there too. I'm not sure. Do you do the Broadway thing?
I've sat in with a couple of bands. Like I've just showed up and kind of sat into like existing band. Yeah. 4-hour set. I have never done my own 4-hour set. But
okay, yeah, that's a lot of material.
It's definitely a goal to have like just a plug. I'm probably going to be doing residency, so I'll be on Broadway soon.
Nice.
Nice. That's awesome.
And that's a good place. That's a good place for not just the country.
This summer.
Yeah, and that's a good place not just country. I mean, they kind of do some different genres and that sort of thing. So as you can see, I still don't have a picture, so I'm the silent contributor here right now. So I was going to ask Meg and then all of you about this. The process of it appears. I mean, I'm coming from the faith, but you're constantly playing. I mean, what is your do you have a booker, someone booking for you, or are you doing all the business stuff? So like what is your what does that look like for you? Like are like every morning or the first thing you're doing sending emails and doing all that stuff, or like how are you, what does the hustle look like for you?
Yeah, so I do all my own booking, and really just I do all my own everything pretty much. So but yeah, I wouldn't say every day I'm booking shows, but definitely, every week I set aside time, and usually earlier in the week I'm not playing as many shows, so those are my days to send a ton of emails out and do more of like the business side of things. Yeah, so I'd say usually like Wednesday through Saturday or Sunday. I'm playing, and then usually Monday or Tuesday, sometimes Sunday, are the days where I'm doing lots of emails.
And so when you're are you organized? Do you have like a spreadsheet and you have like, okay, these are some places I want to play, I'm gonna reach out, that sort of thing? And also, is it by email usually, or are you calling? Are you showing up at venues? Like, how are you approaching that?
I'd say like 90% of the time emails. I send a lot of emails. And sometimes if I absolutely have to, I'll call or follow up like, ooh, are we all gone?
No,
oh, there we are. We've all disappeared. And what was emailing. Sometimes if it's a place I really want to get into and I'm having trouble getting into, I will show up and try to talk to somebody in person, or if it's a place that has either like a show or a jam or an opportunity to get up, maybe get photos or video of me playing there, and then follow up like, hey, I met you all through doing this, I'd love to book my own show here. But in general, lots of emailing. I don't love phone calls personally, so I try not to do those as much as possible, but obviously if I have to, I will.
So I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to leave, but I'll still be listening just while I'm working on this technical issue. But for Layla and Angela, what is your approach to the business side of that? For not necessarily for everybody, but it can be the dreaded business side of booking, doing everything DIY. Okay, I'll be right back. I'm listening.
You want to go, Layla?
Oh, sure. It's the dreaded
Go ahead.
business side of things. I have tried to find people to help me do it because I don't enjoy it. But at the end of the day, I'm the best person to book my stuff for me. And yeah, I mean, I think I have had a really hard time booking in Nashville because the market is so saturated. So I'll often have to leave town in order to play shows. But at the same time, like the joy of playing in Nashville is that we're in this amazing music community with these incredible musicians. And so, you know, there's that perk of playing in town because then you get to have this wonderful performance experience with a band. So I don't know. I mean, I think booking is just forever going to be a challenge, but it's a necessary evil. And so you just carve out some time in your day. I've been trying to make a rule for myself of like send at least one booking email a day, because it's like you take 5 minutes, send like your template email basically. And then at least I feel like I've done my one email instead of, it might not be 2 hours worth of email time, but at least it's one. So that's been my goal for myself lately.
Yeah.
Nice.
What about you, Angela?
That's kind of currently just make a goal of like minimum 2 or 3 like a week, but sometimes I take the approach of showing up at a place and seeing this even somewhere that is going to what I do in my music, or is it just going to be something that maybe I don't need to do even, or maybe it pays well, but it's too far of a drive, or it's just for what I'm 2 hours away and it's like $200. That's maybe not the best gig to do, but to buddy up with other songwriters that are in town, and sometimes that's the most effective, is like hopping on multiple people are playing multiple, different draws, and that's what I do in town. I'm just trying to know different markets, so so I can have the luxury of traveling to different places. Other than, it is tough here, and it is grind to be constantly booking here. Yeah. So.
Wait, now Cliff, we can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
There you are.
I'm back. Okay. Little technical issues. Okay, so have you all ever heard this? There's a musician in town named Jeb, and I think his wife's name is Danica, and they have a duo. And before the pandemic, I mean, they're constantly hustling, driving their Sprinter van around the country, and but anyway, he was talking about 3 pots or 3 baskets, and one was I think the money, maybe it was 4, the money, another was the fulfillment, enjoyment, another was fans. Maybe there's another pot, but have you all heard that or something like that before? Yeah,
Something like that.
And so do you have any particular like when there's a gig and you find out the specifics about it, what are you looking for? Like what are the type of gigs you really are like excited about? Maggie, you want to go first?
I guess how does it benefit me, and where I want to go in my career, and is it worth my while, and do I want to do it? basically, like definitely, I feel like enjoyment and is high on the list for me. Like, is this something I want to do, and is it going to benefit me? And then obviously, is it worth my while? Like time, distance, money wise. Yeah.
Yeah. I've heard it as like you have to have 2 out of the 3, like money, music, and I've heard it as money, like good music and good hang, but like maybe the hang is the same as fans. I don't know. But you have to have 2 of the 3. So like maybe you're playing a cover gig that pays well, so it would be like essentially the music might not be as good, but like the hang and the pay is good, so then it's worth it or something. But then you have to also calculate miles traveled, and that's the other piece of it.
Especially
I
now
think that there's a lot of factors, but I'm definitely at the point where like I think earlier on in this journey for me, I would have taken a lot more exposure gigs, and now I'm just like, nope, I'd rather be home and playing my own music and live streaming than playing exposure gigs. So, you figure out what your worth is, I think, and what you're willing to do.
Yeah.
Angela, how do you look at the 3 buckets or whatever they are for the hang, as Layla said, the hang, the music, money?
Well, I play folk music, primarily original music. Cash cow over here, raking in the big bucks. So, my main audience and friends, like, is it a good hang, and is it the place where my original songs are going to be and received well, and help. There has to be that give and take with the audience, because I need that as a writer. I need to play my music for others, or else it's just me in my room. So that's the main one for me. And then it's really cool to be able to need support. I'm always open for that as well.
Yeah.
So.
And so, do you, Angela,
do
you do, when you do shows, do you play mostly your songs, or do you mix in a good bit of covers? What's that look like for you?
I have been doing mainly my own songs for the last 2 years or so. Do a brewer gig, and that includes like covers and originals, but it's a pretty even of covers and originals for me.
Yeah, and for all of you, and this is like this is, I think, for anyone who's working on their craft and who's not at a certain level, which I'm talking about the level that probably everybody aspires to. How do you balance the day-to-day, the having to make enough money and all that? I mean, I know there's other jobs sometimes you have to take. There's other things. Like what is your approach? Would you rather? Some people approach it, I'd rather be playing music, even if it's not music I like to be playing, than doing anything else. Some people say, like, I'd rather be home, I'd rather be doing other things and really play what fulfills me. So how do you all, and you can maybe sort of answer that, but if we could get a little bit more into how you look at that. Layla, do you mind starting?
Yeah. I think my perspective is changing lately. Like, I'm definitely exploring more of the cover gigs these days, but I was in the camp of I'd rather work a day job and then just play my music and have it be fulfilling because it's my artistry. But then you're working a day job. So, I think it's kind of, it's really just sitting with yourself and being like, what is going to make me happy? You only have a certain number of hours in a week, how do you want to spend them? And like my day job is remote, so that's nice. Like I can, I don't have the travel time. I don't have the exhaustion of like having to get dressed up and looking pretty in the morning to go to work. Like I can just be at home. But then, you know, there's less hours playing music. So I think that it really is something I'm struggling with and trying to figure out for myself these days.
And it's not just hours, it's also energy. You know, I before the pandemic, and you all maybe relate, I found myself running around constantly, you know, just constantly driving around, and though it was all music related work and you know, a lot of education work, it wasn't moving. It didn't feel like I was moving myself towards bigger picture goals of where I'd like to be. So anyway, so either Meg or Angela, if you want to talk about the balance between commerce, art, that's maybe a simplification.
So I usually try to be the musician first, and that's really a society that tells us that our art is productive and frivolous,
not valuable. Yeah,
not valuable, right? Like I'm not writing more, working their 40-hour, you know, jobs. Like I'm writing all the time. But what I've been doing lately is finding fulfilling work that is flexible, and like I work as a server, but I also do photography, and I also do like how people organize their loved ones like once they've passed. So I'm just finding like I have a lot of different talents that I can still do that lives.
So you like the work and it's flexible.
Yeah, like odd jobs, something that I do, and then that way I can still do my gigs, and I can travel and like leave. You know, but I don't have any pets or children, so I can kind of just leave.
Yeah. Meg, how do you balance commerce and art?
Yeah, well, I do music full time, but that does include a lot of downtown Broadway gigs, and maybe a lot of gigs where I'm not always playing my own music, and then playing for people, and then also doing a mix of my own like original and cover gigs. So just trying to take on as much as I can to be able to do that almost every day. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, when I was putting together this panel, I didn't have the intention of it being you all being women. But I do like to have panels sometimes that are all women, just because I think you should be represented. And but anyway, I'm just curious, being women in the music business, or in the arts of music, the art of music, what are some pros and cons to being women? Jump in.
Yeah, Meg, go ahead.
One thing that I find that has been an issue for me in particular is I'm a woman, but I'm also very like short. So people think people think I'm very, very young. And I'm going to be 30 next week, but people think I'm, you know, a teenager usually. And so I get that kind of attitude of like, you know, sometimes people are like, oh, you almost like, oh, is this your, like, you know, first time or something? I'm like, I've been doing this for
like, I'm a veteran. Come on.
Yeah, like I'm the one who booked the, you know, it's just like, So, but it is it does make me laugh when people think I'm like, you know, 15, 16, 17. I'm like, I'm 29, you know, and they're like, ooh. So they just, you know, and then their demeanor changes. But, you know, so that's one thing that I've in particular, just being like really, I'm only 5 feet tall. So being like a smaller woman. Yeah, just another thing that I find is if I play with someone who is a man, they will almost always be the one who is addressed, even if it was something booked by me. So that those are kind of two issues. Just, almost like treat it as if I'm younger and inexperienced, or wanting to talk to a guy first over me. So I don't know if you guys have experienced that, but
oh my God, I so relate. I have the exact same thing. I'm in my 30s and people think I'm 24 all the time. And they'll talk to me like I'm still in college, and I'm like, you just took 7 years off my life. Like, I worked hard in those years. And I think that once when we're older, we'll be grateful for the younger appearance.
Like,
but for now, it's like, yeah, you're kind of diminishing all of this time I've put into really working my craft and getting really good at this. So I think that's been hard. The other thing too for me has been just like, in terms of working with other musicians, especially male instrumentalists, like, I feel like they immediately assume that a female singer doesn't really know the theory side of things. They don't really know how to speak music. And like, I went to school for it and like worked really hard to really know what I'm talking about. And so I feel like I kind of have to prove myself a lot with that. And so I think it's just been important for me to find musicians who like respect that about me and don't make me feel small in that way, But it is interesting because I do feel like, especially in the pop country world, like, you don't have to, especially as a singer. You don't have to know music. Oftentimes it's 4 chords. But like, if you're doing more R&B stuff or songs that are more complex forms, like I try to do, then it's important for me to be able to know how to communicate that. So yeah.
You want to speak to that, Angela?
I can speak on that. Yeah, a lot of the experiences that I've had as a woman have honestly led me to wanting to be more knowledgeable about stage production or records, and just so I can help lead young women who are in my position, the same thing that I was when I was 20, 21 now. And I feel like I've been more independence in that realm, because I want to provide the support that I needed as a young woman, that power away to other people that men I thought knew better than I did, because just a woman and the industry. So yeah, that's all I have to say, is that I want to help lead younger people, so that issues can become, and hopefully like future generations won't have to deal with the same kind of bullshit. Yeah.
Well, so we're almost out of time. Are you all going a few minutes past? I just want to get one more question that may take us a little bit past. Or do you all have to get going right at 1, or do you have a few extra minutes?
Yeah, I'm good.
What time is it right now? I don't.
12:28.
12. Yeah.
We go to 1:05. Are we good?
Yeah.
Okay. So I was just curious about so I'll preface it. So I for a long time felt like I was just very focused on music. I felt like a latecomer to music. Even though I started as a kid, I didn't play in school band and all that stuff. And I was just very focused on music. And it wasn't until really moving to Nashville, I've been in Nashville 6 years, where I started to realize, okay, really what I want in life is to be able to have a certain level of freedom and creativity, and to be able to live it on my terms, not pigeonhole myself to say it has to be music. So I'm just curious about you all, just kind of what you envision for yourself in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? Like, what is it you want for yourselves? And just go ahead and jump in.
Well, I want to keep doing what I'm doing, but continue to do it at a, keep in, like, going to bigger stages or opening for more acts or playing more festivals, or just take what I'm doing and just keep growing it to a bigger level. And just those are some things I'd like to do.
Yeah. And artistically, like do you want to be most primarily playing your music, or do you?
Someone's career that I really admire is John Mayer's, is because he is a wonderful songwriter and has his own, kind of more his music, but then he also played with his blues trio, and he's explored country music, and
he's been playing in Dead and Friends.
But then he also plays with Dead and Company. Yeah. So that's something that I really admire. Is primarily, yes, he is known for being I love playing my own music, but I also don't think I'd be totally fulfilled if I didn't play with anyone else, and I didn't explore these other genres. So primarily, yes, I'd like to keep going with my music, but I love playing with others, and I enjoy all that. So yeah, kind of the mix like that.
Yeah. What about Layla or Angela? What are you envisioning for yourself? What are you wanting out of the future in the arts?
I've been exploring sync more. So yeah, I mean, I think just like trying to keep writing and recording, but exploring opportunities for, an avenue of making money on your music without it being touring all over the world all the time. Not that I'm doing that, but I think that it's easy to look for touring and playing live shows as the only avenue to really make a living at this. And I think sync is an opportunity to still be able to create music and make some revenue on it. So I've been exploring that, but then also, I think Angela talked about opening for other acts. I would love to do more of that. I think that would be a great opportunity for me if that ever came along. So, because it's hard to do your own indie booking for really touring, but if you're called on by somebody with an audience and tours booked, then that's a great avenue for opening up your audience. So yeah, I don't know, long term, couldn't tell you, but just we're gonna keep on keeping on and creating while we do it. So
yeah. Angela, what are you envisioning for yourself?
Cool. Myself, definitely just projects for collaborations. I say confidence because we all give ourselves credit for, and so I'm just saying, I want to work with huge artists and do stuff with them, but I would love to work more on the production. Other artists style their shoots, or an fee, so I can help just with artists no matter what, in whatever capacity that I can, because that's what inspires me and makes me feel good, and I feel like that's where I belong. I want to keep expanding all of the creative modalities, not just music.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining me on this panel. So I'll put each of your info, your websites, and all that in the comments and on the notes on YouTube, so people can find you all. But so we have Layla Frankel in my upper right corner. Meg Williams is below me on the left side, and Angela Autumn on the right side. So look them up. Definitely, for people who are tuning in, any action you take to support artists, from liking, sharing, buying their music or merch, is really supportive. Anyone else want to jump in and say anything else?
This was super fun. Thanks for having us.
Like I said, I do want to do more.
Thank you. Thank you for this container.
You're welcome. Thank you for doing this. And so for anyone tuning in, every Wednesday I do these 11:30 Central Time. Also every Tuesday I do free drum lessons on the Sound and Rhythm Drumming School Facebook page. And also been doing a lot of teaching online over the last 6 years. So that's my own personal plug. Yeah, thank you so much. So if you get a chance, record to that song, and we'll figure out a way to share that and compare. Maybe we can do another one of these and compare this, how each style with the same groove. And if that groove doesn't work, I'll send you a different groove. But you all have to play the same groove. That's the one caveat for that. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I am going to end the broadcast in just a second. Have a good day, and hope to see you all in person sometime soon.
Bye. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.